So the reality is I've been indefinitely furloughed. If my job comes back, I get it back. But I don't know if it's going to. I just kind of decided, you know what? Maybe God's telling me it's time for a change. And we just had this conversation just 2 days ago about, man, you are so close to realizing your potential. If you can just bust through this fear, you have no idea where you can go. I can tell you so many of those stories that, like, having no expectation, we all know why they happen. And that's kind of part of the thing is if you're not willing to take a step out of your cave of fear, if you're not willing to take a step out, you're never going to, it's like Indiana Jones when he's going across the canyon and he doesn't see the bridge that's there. If you don't ever step out of your cave, you're never going to find out where you can go.
Welcome back to another episode of the Who You Know Show podcast, where what you know is important, but who you know can make all the difference in your business, career, relationships, and life. My name is Trevor Houston, and on this show, you'll learn the strategy, grit, and mindset it takes to overcome obstacles so you can level up in your career, recover your cash flow, and live the life of purpose that God intended for you. Don't forget to look at the mic drop moments time-stamped in the show notes below. And if you've enjoyed today's episode, make sure to pay it forward, subscribe, and leave an honest review so we can improve. Thanks for listening. My name is Trevor Houston, and please enjoy this episode of the Who You Know Show.
This is all about knocking down those fear walls. Today we got Josh Faris in the house. What's up, man?
I love it. I love it. I was just having this conversation with my son yesterday. He's playing football.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and he worked hard all summer. He did off season. He did his diet, and he's looking great, but he just has this fear of getting hit. He had a concussion last year, and he just doesn't want to do it. And we just had this conversation just 2 days ago about, man, you are so close to realizing your potential. If you can just bust through this fear, you have no idea where you can go. So it's applicable to everything.
Have you told him instead of the one getting hit to do the hitting?
It's been mentioned a couple times.
I mean, I don't blame him on that one. It's not fun.
I don't like getting hit either. Eighth graders in Texas are big boys.
Oh, yeah.
No, bigger than what we were.
Bigger than me.
I'm like, yeah.
Real quick, before we get into your interview, I want to tell the audience something real quick, okay? So Josh Faris is searching right now, and we want your support. We need you to go ahead and hit that share button because you never know whose ears or whose eyes actually will see this thing, and it could impact Josh's life. So make sure you hit that share button before we go any further. Tell me about your, some of the challenges did you get affected by COVID? Is that what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I was actually out in Las Vegas in March at the largest trade show in North America at Con Expo. It takes up all the parking lots, takes up everything, and it was real interesting because we put the show in, and as we were putting it in, there were shows on the West Coast and shows on the East Coast that had started going in, and they had to tear everything back down. They were closed before the show opened. So we were lucky we got the show open, but instead of going back to tear it down, they started bringing our people home because we knew airlines were starting to shut down. And so, I mean, in the blink of an eye, it was almost like 2 days. Our industry went from totally normal. We've been talking about 2020 in this industry for 7 years. This had the largest shows back to back to back. We've been talking about 2020 since 2013. I've been telling my wife, I'm not going to be home in 2020. And so the outlook was strong, and out of nowhere, it just stopped. And nothing, to his point, has happened since. So it was kind of a, wow.
Yeah. Well, I remember the first time that, really we saw it was Video Marketing World.
Oh, man.
So we were scheduled for Video Marketing World. It was going to be a big conference here in Dallas, and
it was like a month and a half in advance, right?
They shut down in February, I think it was.
February, I think it was.
Some of the things did, and what's crazy is as we've gone through this, is that CES is a huge show. Everybody knows consumer electronics. It's already shut down next year. It's all virtual.
Oh,
so they're actually saying this industry may not come back till the end of second quarter or third quarter of 2021, that's why what he's doing is so important, so that people can see that, look, our kids are in school. We've all been to Walmart and Home Depot, and, I don't want to make it I know everybody's got things, but we're getting back to life as normal. And for an industry that's got 10 million people out of work, we got to get those people back as soon as we can. So.
Yeah. And there's got to be a way that it can be done, and they're doing it, right?
Yeah.
There's a way that it can be done in the new norm, and still facilitate the expos.
Well, we need to reach
facilitate the
out
conferences.
to Donnie. Remember, we had Donnie on the show
Mhm.
the other day,
Yeah.
and he had that conference that he was hosting.
Yeah.
Coming up at the end of September. I got
Oh,
the,
it's
the
coming up.
virtual
Oh, you
tickets
got
to
one?
that.
That's right.
Oh,
You
yeah.
got
Oh,
the,
yeah,
you got
you're
the
the-
tickets. Yeah.
You're the
I-
lucky winner.
I slid in. I knew my comment wasn't going to make it, so I buttered him up, and it worked.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Donnie's good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to find out how that goes. Tell me.
Yeah, I'm going to. I plan on really paying attention to that.
So you're in the similar industry, right? You're same industry. Is that where you're looking to go back into?
So I could talk for hours about this, but the reality is that when it all kind of happened, I kind of took pause, right? I didn't know how long this was going to last. So I built a grill surround from outdoor patio and played with the kids and just enjoyed all that stuff. And then about probably early June, I was like, this isn't coming back. So, and it's funny because as I've watched your show, I like literally did everything you tell people not to do. So if you're doing it, there's hope you can do better. But I've been with 2 companies in 20 years.
Uh-huh.
So I hadn't done this resume. I mean, there were computer labs back in college back
Yeah,
when I
oh, no,
I don't
no.
even know if that's a thing anymore because people didn't have personal computers in the dorm room. So I paid a company to update my resume and I thought they did a decent job and I just started putting it out there, on LinkedIn or Indeed or wherever, right? The fishing, that's what we call it, right? Fishing. So
With a PH.
I didn't
yeah.
catch anything.
So
And
tell us exactly what was your function? What did you do in that industry?
So I was a regional director of operations. So I handled everything
okay.
in the entire Southeast. So my region was Texas to Charlotte to Miami. So if there was a trade show in the Southeast, my managers oversaw all of the installation dismantle labor to build and tear down all these booths.
So maybe some supply chain and logistics jobs could get your attention?
Possibly, but that's kind of where I was going. Is so when I did that, I probably look like a crazy person. I'd take a nightly walk, and I was just kind of having it out with God, like, "What are you doing here? Because this isn't working." And I talked to an old colleague who doesn't live here, but he was the one who said, "Hey, you should check out Stonebriar Church." And that's how I came in contact with Who You Know. And as I started watching, I realized I've got a totally reverse course with my way of thinking, with what I'm doing. It's just not working. And so, as part of that, I kind of was able to just let go of my job, right? So the reality is I've been indefinitely furloughed. If my job comes back, I get it back, but I don't know if it's going to. But I just kind of decided, you know what? Maybe God's telling me it's time for a change, for a career change. I've been blessed to have a lot of different experiences. I've done a lot of different things. Let's just be open, right? So, and I know we talk about that. Supply chain would be good, operations. I've done marketing, sales. Like, I kind of feel like God's going to put me where he wants me to be. It's more about just walking this walk. And so I'm open to a lot of things. I think I've been fortunate enough to work in a lot of different industries and I'm open to a lot. And I think I can.
So the other day we were talking about it and you had some core values though. Okay. So when he says, I'm open, but let me tell you, this guy's done his reflection. We talk about this all the time. He knows what he wants. Talk to me about some of those values and things that you're looking for, because he's not just saying, "Oh yeah, I'll take whatever."
No, I'm being pretty intentional. I actually just reached out to a guy on LinkedIn before I came on the show where I was reading his company's values, and man, he knocked them off. But I read the book. I think we talked about it. You Start With Your Why by Simon Sinek during this whole pandemic.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And man, a lot of people and a lot of companies don't know why they do what they do. So I don't really want to come work for you no matter what I'm doing if you can't tell me that you know why you're doing what you're doing, from the executive all the way down to a dock worker, right? Like, it's important.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to be in sync and know why you're doing what you're doing, because otherwise you're just kind of spinning your wheels. So that's my first thing.
Can I say something onto that real quick?
Yeah.
Can I add something on that? That's a great interview question. Like, one of your first, like, you know how you're supposed to bring questions to the interview? Like, ask the interviewer, say, "Hey, tell me why, like, what is your why? Tell me your company's mission. Why are they doing what they're doing?"
I did in one of my interviews.
Did they probably got
They loved it. Yeah, they were like, "That's a great question."
Okay.
Yeah.
I bet a lot of them wouldn't know though.
Yeah.
Or
You're
they
gonna get a lot of that.
They just recite their mission statement.
That's a good question though.
No, it is. I think it is, because if they
Tell me your
can't,
why.
if they can't say it on the spot, then they don't really know.
Yeah, they're not
And
connected to
that's
it.
just not. I've done that before, and it doesn't really work.
Yeah.
So the second one was, I've always told my team this, and I really believe it, is that I want to celebrate our wins as a group, as a company. I think it's important to celebrate. People pour their heart and sweat, their family time into these companies to make them successful. It doesn't always have to be a monetary thank you, but if you're not going to say, "Hey, good job," you're going to lose people's, want and drive. But the second thing is just as important. It's what this guy this morning said, was that I want to celebrate mistakes. And I know that seems kind of weird, but to me, mistakes are really important, because if you don't ever try, if you don't ever get off your keister and make an effort, you're never going to make any mistakes. I've had plenty of people on my teams who have said, "I don't know where to start," or "I don't know what to do." And I'm like, well, did you do anything? Did you try anything? And
Yeah.
we learn as a group when you make mistakes. So I
Yeah.
think it's important.
Yeah, if you're not failing, you're not trying.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you changed then, right? You've changed your course, changed your focus, changed your values or what you're looking for. What else have you changed? What's changed for you then?
Man, I feel like we've talked about it a lot today already, right? Like, I haven't met a conversation that I haven't wanted to continue in the last couple weeks. Like, I've met some people I would have never met had it not been for this show, or just talking to people about, it doesn't have to be about anything job related. I think that's really the key. If you just focus on what you need out of it, we talked about gratitude, you're probably not going to get an audience with people. If you just talk to people about, look, I tried to have an interview with Mark for some content. And at the time, he wasn't real comfortable with talking about some things, because he had been through a lot of struggles. And I was kind of flustered because I had set it up on my calendar. I thought we were going to do the Zoom call. And I just kept talking to him to get to know him, because I had never talked to Mark before. And by the end of the call, he said, "I trust you. Next time you want to do an interview, I'll do one with you." And
There you go.
just not giving up, just finding out what people need is huge.
So let's rewind there, though. Hold on. Because what you're talking about, I want to make sure the audience gets a full understanding of what we're saying here. So you're doing content, you're doing interviews, you are interviewing other people. Talk to me about that, because where did that come from, and why are you doing that, and how's it working for you?
I don't know if I should thank Trevor and the Who You Know show, but look, guys, video's everything. I think in one of the first classes I went to, you talked about how less than 1% of the people are using it. But let's be real clear. I just told somebody this yesterday. Right now we're doing Zoom calls, and it's taking the place of emails and these things. In 5 years, you may not send emails anymore. You may only send video messages.
That's the thought.
There's so much personality that gets missed in typed words. When you can sit there and talk to somebody, and this is the other thing I tell people when they say, "I don't know where to start." I said, just start with something you're comfortable with. You don't even have to be on camera. Have somebody record you talking to someone else, just so that and then go back and watch it. Talk about a book you read, or talk.
Well, that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
So guys, to give you an understanding, so Josh is having networking meetings. He's networking, right? You're having to do that right now in your search anyways, right? You have to network. How are you networking? Zoom, right? So you're hopping on a Zoom call with a complete stranger who you've never met before. You're having a conversation. It's kind of like that coffee shop talk, right? You're getting to know them. They're getting to know you. But you know what he's doing that everybody else isn't? He's recording it. He's getting their permission, of course. You have to get their permission. Tell them up front what you're doing and why you're doing it, but record that meeting, okay? That meeting, do you know how many little pieces of micro content do you get out of that meeting?
Oh, a lot.
I
just did a 3-part series from one phone call last week, and they were probably a little too long if I'm going by Trevor's tutelage, but there was too much good content there. I didn't want to cut it all out.
Yeah, we'll cut it out. Yeah.
In addition to that, the other thing that you're doing is you're making it about them, right? It's not about you. And what you said earlier was, there are a lot of times where we go into it with, what can I get out of it? And that's I think what you were alluding to. And it really was just with Mark, right? That perfect example of, you made it about him, about actually getting to know him, being real, genuine relationships, right, Foster? And you got to the point where the script flipped. I mean, he was probably at the beginning very standoffish and maybe even hard to get to talk.
Yeah.
And in the end, he said, "I trust you. Look, I trust you." And look, totally changed the course of that relationship.
Well, and to take the coffee point, so when this whole first started, I had talked to this recruiter about a job, and she didn't have something lined up at the time, but she said, "I loved your video, the little 'Hi, how are you' video." She said, "Would you mind talking to my husband. He's a financial planner, but he's starting his own company. Would you mind just sharing with him, what you did? And I'm like, that was like my second video, but sure. So I went and had coffee with this guy. We met up in Allen, and it was just supposed to be 30 minutes. We talked for 2 hours.
Yep, that's how it happens.
And the cool thing about it was at the end of it, he sent me a free HD camera and a microphone to keep doing my videos. I could tell you so many of those stories that, like, having no expectation, I was just going to talk to the guy. Like, things happen. We all know why they happen, and that's kind of part of the thing is if you're not one to take a step out of your cave of fear, if you're not one to take a step out, you're never going to, it's like Indiana Jones, right? When he's going across the canyon and he doesn't see the bridge that's there. If you don't ever step out of your cave, you're never going to find out where you can go.
What Trevor's teaching people to do, 5 years, it wouldn't even surprise me if we're almost completely going in that direction.
It's already there, guys.
It's there.
Especially with the Zoom now, with COVID, we're there today.
Consideration, guys.
Like, how have you talked to people? I want you to think about it right now.
Yeah, over the last 3 to 5 months.
How have you been communicating with the rest of the world? It's here. It's done. Like, video is the way. Like, it is the way of the future. Until, like, and we'll get there with VR. We'll be in the same room with these VR things. I mean, that's real. That's coming. So get ready for uncomfortable. We're going to be walking around with these little headsets.
Jennifer McClendon, I saw your comment, and this is why we're doing the show. This comment embodies exactly why we're doing the show. She wrote, "This is the best hour of the day. Wow. I feel the family vibe. I've felt all alone in this. I am new to this. This is so nice to have."
What was her name again?
Jennifer McClendon.
Jennifer, you're not alone. You're not alone, right? The enemy wants you to feel like you're alone. The enemy wants to isolate you. He wants to keep you in fear, right? You are not alone. You have a community. Reach out to me. Reach out to Mark. Like, my cell phone number is on my profile. If you need to talk about anything, I'm serious about that. You're not alone. This is a family. This is a community.
I just got a little choked up there because Jennifer, this is exactly what we're doing.
Yep.
So
who we got?
Yeah, and I'll just echo that. I've already made a new family with the people that I've connected with, even the people that just watch this show. We interact every day on each other's posts. Trevor put us in a pod, and we're so supportive. The best thing that I've learned about LinkedIn is with all the negativity and all the unknown out in the world, the other social media, LinkedIn is a place where people are looking for ways to reach back and pull you up. It happens every day. I'm blown away at how much people want to help. Because the reality is when they do these claps for people who have landed, like, that's the whole point of this family, right?
Yeah.
Is to get everybody a new career and a new job, and we're excited for everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Who You Know Show podcast. My name is Trevor Houston, and if you've enjoyed this episode, consider subscribing wherever you listen and leave us a positive review to help us keep the mics on in the studio. Until next week, that's the show. It's all about who you know.